Welcome back to Buckets, the WNBA edition, filling in for Jim Turvey. I'm Bryan Fonseca, joined by Dano Mataya. We have two games that we're going to look at for the July 15th slate, and that is going to be one of the final days that we have WNBA action until the All-Star break. So this is the last time you're going to see a few of these teams for a week. Dano, we have a lot to get into. Let's get into our best bets first. Right off the top, we have two games we have to look at for the slate. The Indiana Fever are going to be playing at TD Garden against the Connecticut Sun, which is very exciting. That's going to be first off. And we also have the Mystics and the Sparks. That's going to be taking place at 10. So not a night where we have 6 games all at 7 o'clock Eastern or anything like that. We just have 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock. So what are your best bets for tonight's slate?
Yeah, for me, I'm taking actually both overs. So over 163 and the late game, that would be Sparks and Mystics, and then over 165.5 in the battle at the TD Garden between the Sun and the Fever.
Okay, I will be on Aaliyah Boston to get at least 4+ assists. In the first game we're going to be talking about, the Indiana Fever and the Connecticut Sun. In this game, the Fever are favored by 15.5. The total is 165.5. We have some company, clearly. The total is 165.5. Fever, as I mentioned, favored by 15.5 points. So that's a major sort of spread there. And then Mystics and the Sparks. The Mystics, 1.5 point favorites in LA. The total is 163.5. And as you mentioned, you like the over for both games. Let's start first in Boston, I suppose. Connecticut Sun are going to be hosting. They're going to be playing against the Indiana Fever. Caitlin Clark, obviously, is somebody who draws big crowds. So they're going to be playing this one at TD Garden. On Caitlin specifically, before we get into our best bets, what do you make of her season so far? It's been uneasy with, just injuries and missing time and, just ups and downs. And in terms of the efficiency and the counting stats, it's a step back so far. But last year she did heat up in the summer, like at that August sort of point, and it was after a break. Don't know if after the All-Star break she'll kick it up. It's not as big of a break as the Olympic one. But what do you make of her season overall this year?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say it's probably not meeting expectations, but I don't think any player has expectations like Caitlin Clark. So, but I mean, you're also throwing a new system at her, new pieces around her. So, to me, I think it's probably the right time to buy. Like, it's probably the lowest her stock will be. I think, like you kind of said, around this time, like right before All-Star break, is when she started to kind of really get into a groove. And then she tore it up the latter half of the year and ended up being, first team all WNBA. I think it was the game right before All-Star break where she broke the record for most assists in a game with 19. Not saying she's going to do that against the Sun, but anything is possible. But yeah, I mean, being injured for the first time in her career also, she hadn't missed games ever, and to be in that position, plus with all the new pieces, and then just in general the amount of pressure that's been on her and that team to succeed. You had a player who's a legend in the league leave your team, so it's been a lot of, I'd say, chaos, but nothing she can't bounce back from.
It's interesting because coming into this game, just her last 6 contests, and there's a break there because, again, injuries, you had the groin issue, like there's been just lingering. She's only played 12 games so far this season. That even includes the Commissioner Cup final, which she missed. Last 6 games, she's shooting 29.5% from the field, 14% from 3. That's on 7 threes per game. And the turnovers, which was something that I wanted to closely monitor this season, 5 a game during that stretch. For the season, 5 a game. Actually, a little bit down from the 5.6 a year ago, but the turnovers are still there. The scoring has obviously dropped off a bit, 2.5 points per game fewer, and the percentages are down. 3-pointers from 34 to 29, field goal percentage from 42 to 37. To your point, I'm not worried. And this could be one of these things, like, I'm a Met fan, and I watched Francisco Lindor for years up until this year just start off batting like 200 for the first 2 months of the year before kicking it up. Like, it's just something that some people do. Some athletes are wired this way. So it could be like maybe she's one of these people. But I think with the context of the injuries and, as you mentioned, just the team situation, it's a different system, different teammates even. Aaliyah Boston's obviously taken a step. So having to gel with that as well, just that element as well. And DeWanna Bonner, who you referenced earlier, that whole situation not really panning out. Just I don't think it's there's not a ton of red flags for me here, but I do want to see something settle at some point. You know what I mean? Like, it's lingered on for a while. Maybe she just needs to get fully healthy. The All-Star break will probably help. Tonight, she gets the Sun. Not the stiffest competition, probably a good get-right spot. Tomorrow, though, because they have a back-to-back, they have the Liberty, and then coming out of the All-Star break, they have the Liberty again. So not necessarily easy there. But I'll toss it back to you just to wrap that point up before we get into the game itself. Just, what would you expect going forward from her and, I guess, the Fever as well?
Yeah. Honestly, I just expect constant progression. I mean, they've looked so good last few games. 99 against the Dream, who have been incredible defensively, and then put a beat down on the Wings, which, they should, but Wings have, really looked sharp. Granted, Enrique was back in that game, and I think that is probably a net negative for that team. So she was 0 for 10.
Oh, yeah.
And, is what it is.
Going around.
Hand up and blocked by Enrique on X, and apologize for my dog. Don't know what is happening. I don't know, he must be watching.
Why did she block you? Why did Enrique block?
My tears, probably. I can only assume. But
which I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed.
They're coming back. They're coming back after All-Star break.
Okay, great.
I had way too much going on in the personal life, but to get to the point of why I like this over, even with a back-to-back for the Fever, multiple Sun players have talked about how excited they are to play against the Fever again. Spoke to multiple reporters in Scrum who were talking to various players, and they're all excited about that game. I've heard Mabry could even be back for that game. I mean, those who don't know, there's a huge scuffle or two in that game that they last played at Cambridge Fieldhouse. This game will be nationally televised on ESPN. So I think the Sun get up for it. I'm sure I'll be looking to maybe, take a live middle should the scoring get off to a crazy start. And if the Fever do play like the way they've been playing and they end up getting to a point where they're, blowing out the Sun, which could very well happen, they start resting players for the next game against the defending champs, would be a good place to take a live under.
Marina Mabry, as you mentioned, hasn't played in a while. We last saw her on June 20th, and she's expected to be back pretty soon. We'll see. We'll see how that sort of shakes out. Okay, for this game, you're on the over. I have Aaliyah Boston to get 4+ assists in this one, which people may think, hey, why don't you take her PRA? But there was better value on the assists. Let's start with the over on the total. You're expecting points. Total is 165.5. I can assume why you like the over, but tell the people, because I get the angle here. Like, I get this being potentially a high-powered offensive game, or at least high enough powered offensive game to where we can see maybe 170 or something along those lines.
Yeah, I mean, back-to-back games of at least 99, and you're going in All-Star break. You don't want to lose momentum. I know they have, quote-unquote, a look-ahead spot with the Liberty, but this is also a game against a team that you lost to earlier this year. It's going to be on a national stage. Caitlin loves to show out on national TV, so I
That's
do love
true.
that part
Yeah.
as well. And like, this is a game you can't drop. This is a game that you should show up and be able to put up points at will against your opponent. Believe in the last game too, defensively, they gave up 92 points to the Sparks. Speaking about the Sun, and we've seen, how bad the Sparks can be at times. So, I mean, I think the opportunity is there for, the Fever to take advantage of this opportunity against a really bad Sun team, who has been playing better. I'll give them a lot of credit. They're scrappy, but they should be putting up 90 plus points. And I expect, with how amped the Sun players are for this matchup, that they can get us to, at least 70 points on their end, get us somewhere in that 165 range.
So that's what I wanted to ask, because sometimes when you get these big spreads, like, there's a world where the Fever hold up their end of the bargain, but the Sun just can't score. I don't think that's going to be the case, to your point. The Fever's defense obviously is better this year than last year. But, to your point about the Sun, they allowed 92 against the Sparks, who you just mentioned. 83 against Storm a couple games ago, and the Storm's offense has been uneasy. I thought their offense would be better this year. They're only 8th in offense right now. And going back before that, obviously 102, that's to the Lynx. But 97 to the Storm before that. Like, you have a lot of games here where teams are just dropping 85, 88, 90 plus, even 100 plus points on 4 different instances. The Fever could potentially do that. So you don't think the Sun are going to struggle to score here?
I mean, I think, there's always a chance that they come out horrible. But they've been playing well lately. I love their young guards. And Bria Hartley has definitely an edge to her that has, kind of picked up what has been missing from Marina Mabry. Tina Charles and Aaliyah Boston will go at it. I mean, hopefully Aaliyah stays out of foul trouble. But, I mean, the Sun have covered in both matchups against the Fever. It's not a, it's a home game technically, but it's at TD Garden, so it's a little different. But it's the last game before a nice break for the Sun. That's another reason why I love these overs at the end of the year. It's like, a lot of these teams, it's like, all right, let's get this over with. Let's give it all we got and go enjoy Cancun for a weekend. Or in John Quell's case, she's going to the Bahamas, I believe.
I think with the Sun, it's interesting because you mentioned Bria Hartley, and we'll talk about my prop in a second. But Bria Hartley is who I wanted, like, that's who I was looking for when I opened all the sports books. But still haven't caught on to Bria Hartley being a starter in WNBA. Apparently they haven't, but I've been wanting to take Bria Hartley overs, and they're not always readily available. And this isn't because she had 25 points last game. As a matter of fact, I'm probably this is making me feel old, but when she first gave birth and came back not long after in 2017, I was covering the Liberty. This was actually the first time I covered a WNBA season. I was covering the Liberty, season credential, covering them for a local outlet here in New York City. Bria, by the way, was my favorite interview on that team. Second was probably Shavante Zealous. And Bria Hartley at that point, I saw that she was coming back now. I was actually pretty surprised because of multiple ACL tears, but she's been killing lately. 25 points in the last game. Had a little kerfuffle with Rickea Jackson as well. Had 25 points against the Sparks. 15 points a couple games ago against the Storm. 19 not that long ago also against the Storm. Also had a kerfuffle with Skylar Diggins and a pretty hard foul against Gabby Williams. We won't mention either of those two things at length. But Bria Hartley's been playing well. So
I know she had beef with Angel Reese too, pulled her hair.
That's right.
She's nuts.
She came back with a vengeance.
Yeah.
Didn't see a lot of hard fouls in 2017 or 2018 with Liberty for that matter. But also, when you're a vet, you're probably a little more whatever. But I think if her points and assists do pop up rather, I'll be interested in that. Points plus assists or just the points. I'm curious to see what the number is also, but if it's a good enough number, like the low teens or something like that, I might take that. I don't know where it's going to be ultimately after the 25-point game, because the market correction could be like a lot, and I just might stay away from it. But I'll be looking for her props. Otherwise, Aaliyah Boston 4+ assists. For whatever reason, 4+ assists was -104, and over 3.5 was -106. So why not? Just 2 cents. But against Connecticut this year, Aaliyah Boston's got 5 and 8 assists in each of those 2 games when they played each other earlier this year. The Sun, in part because of Aaliyah Boston, allowed the most assists per game from centers in the WNBA at over 6 per game from that position. The Sun also allowed, just in general, the second most assists per game. And Boston is over 3.5 or at 4+ in 9 of 17. So it's not just the points and rebounds, and obviously she's an all-star having a great season, but the playmaking has been an interesting element. I think the fact that, like, I'm with you on the points, like they should be able to score and get 90+. Aaliyah Boston having the assists will help. I think they'll be able to create clean, open looks against the Connecticut Sun, because this is not the Connecticut Sun defense of old. This is a completely new team. I'm expecting pace. I'm expecting space, transition offense. But Aaliyah Boston can pass out of double teams and pass in general. So, like, she's showcased it against this team multiple times already, and I think she can get to 4+ here again.
Love it. Love it.
All right, let's get to our final game tonight. We have the Mystics and the Sparks. So you like the over here, 163.5. I looked at some props. I'm ultimately not going with anything. If I looked at Sonia Citron, Kelsey Plum, obviously. We'll see if I play anything close to the tip, but if I do, it'll likely be a points angle for one of those 2. Sonia in particular, who's obviously been a standout rookie this year. You like the over 163.5? Tell me why.
Really, it comes down to the Sparks for me. I feel like the Mystics can be part of a lot of low-scoring games, but the Sparks, specifically dating back to June, 11 of their 13 games have gone over, and 12 of their 13 games would have gone over this posted number. The defense just is atrocious. The worst defensive team in the league by far.
Yeah.
Wings a close second. They give up points at all 3 levels. They really depend on their starting 5 so heavily that it's difficult for them to stay in games, even if they get ahead. I think we were watching them against, I believe the Lynx, when they got up double digits early in that game, and minute starters come out. Lynx are up, within 4 minutes after being down 10. So, they want to win this game. It's their last shot at home. Mystics have great leadership, coming off a nice win at Seattle. Think they get a lot more points scored. They shot, I want to say 2 for 14 from 3. So we saw them do that against the Fever earlier this year as well. It's one of their worst 3-point shooting performances of this season. So I expect a lot more shots to be made. Defense, don't know if it's actually going to be there. Yeah, they ended up 3 for 14. They're 1 for 11 at one point. So the opportunities are going to be there against the Sparks team, plain and simple. There's a reason they opened up as 4.5-point dogs and now are favored in this game. I think the shots are going to come in bunches, and they should not have trouble getting to at least, to me, 86 in this game. So I like the total. I think Sparks are going to battle. It should be an awesome game, honestly. So shouldn't be a blowout by any reason, because I don't think they're on a tier above, or like 2 tiers above where the Sparks are. Expect it to be somewhat close. Do agree that they should be favored, and I expect it to be like a 88-86 game.
Kelsey Plum's over under 17.5. Over is actually plus money right now. She's been a little up and down lately, but I think you have a decent floor here with the Mystics matchup. in particular, considering that, I mean, 3 straight games of 17 plus and also in 6 of 7. And, that includes some decent defenses in there. That's one that's interesting to me. For her to be top point scorer in this game is 250. Brittany Sykes is actually 400, which I think is maybe an underrated look there, especially if we're expecting points. Rakia Jackson, 12.5 is an interesting one. And Sonia Citron, who I mentioned, 13.5. All things that I think are fun, probably worth considering to be sort of corollary with the total. I ain't gonna bet all 4 of them, but one or two I may buy into. We'll see. We'll see what happens closer to the tip. But I do think we should expect some points there. Closing thoughts. We're going into All-Star break, and obviously, like there's still plenty of season left. I feel like some of what we've seen to some degree has surprised some people. What are some of the things that you're going to be looking forward to the most? I guess for me, briefly, it's going to be like how sustainable Angel Reese's recent play is, because I think this is what some people were waiting for and other people thought would never come. But we're seeing something different now, from a playmaking perspective, from just a confidence level in terms of being able to pull people out and take them in isolation. Taking the Fisa Collier in isolation and scoring at the rim was interesting last game. So I'm curious to see to what degree this continues.
Yeah, for me, I think it's, winning in this league. You gotta, one, stay healthy. 2, take advantage of the quality scheduling opportunities as they come, because there's not many. It's a really condensed season, only 44 games in a short amount of time. I like both. I like both angles as far as like I had a few people reach out being like, should we take the dream team total under, or win total under, with Ryan Howard being out. Look at the schedule, see what it looks like the rest of the year. I think there's, definitely, spots to look at win totals, come this time of the season. I do think, the Sky outside of today, granted they lost Ariel Atkins midway through the season, but they had covered in 8 straight games. Like, they're doing good things. You're seeing a lot of players improve, a lot of teams improve. So, a lot of teams that you see to start the year are not going to be the same towards the end. Like the Wings, for example, are starting, up until Enrique came back, they're starting 3 rookies. Like, teams are going to look different. Like I said, from the beginning of the year, I don't know if we're going to see any trades before the trade deadline, especially with, every player being a free agent next year, practically, outside of the rookies, sophomores, and juniors in this league. So I don't know, just watch. It's amazing. It's a great league. It's been great games, a lot of great talent. So I think it's just watch and stand pat.
Trade deadline, August 7th. We'll see what happens there. We did get a couple last year. Wonder if there's going to be any noise this year. And another thing I'll add is just I'm as pro Dominique Malonga as one can be. I hope we see more flashes down the stretch. I always said before the draft, though, I think this year is the year where you see flashes before she actually really, really pops in a regular rotation style role moving forward. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I think it's going to be fun. Season's been good. Season's been, I think, to some degree under discussed, at least the basketball piece of it. People love talking about some of the other things that relates to the WNBA.
Of course.
But we'll see what happens coming out of the All-Star break. Should be fun. To recap best bets, Dano likes both overs. We have 165.5 for our first game at TD Garden, Connecticut Sun, and the Indiana Fever, as well as tonight, the later game, Washington Mystics and the LA Sparks over 163.5. And for tonight, I only like, for now at least, we'll see what I put in the app, Aaliyah Boston to get 4+ assists or over 3.5, whichever, has the better number by the time you look it up. 4+ assists in that game between the Fever and the Sun. For Dano Mataya, I'm Bryan Fonseca. Remember, download the award-winning Action Network app to get more information on all your plays, Action Pro subscription as well. And we will be back on WNBA's version of Buckets very, very soon. Take care and enjoy the games.